Before we continue, let me remind you again, this is part 2 of a series. Each video in this series explains one layer of the problem. If you only watch one part, you will get information but not full clarity. So if you want real understanding, make sure you watch all the parts in order. In the previous video, we spoke about illusion. We spoke about how porn disconnects the human mind from reality and trains it to live in simulation instead of real life. Now, in this video, we are going one layer deeper. This video is about expectations, because expectations quietly decide your happiness, and porn silently rewires expectations in a way most people never realize. Let us start with something very simple. The human mind learns what to expect from repeated exposure. Whatever you see again and again, your mind starts treating that as normal. This is true for everything in life. If you grow up in noise, silence feels uncomfortable. If you grow up in chaos, peace feels strange. If you grow up with unhealthy food, simple food feels tasteless. Porn works the same way. It teaches your mind what to expect from beauty, attraction, intimacy, and connection. The problem is, porn does not show reality. Porn shows a manufactured version of reality. It shows bodies, reactions, emotions, and situations that are heavily edited, scripted, enhanced, and designed purely for visual stimulation. But your brain does not label it as fake. Your brain labels it as reference. This is very important to understand. Your brain always compares reality with its reference point, and porn becomes that reference point without you realizing it. Porn creates beauty standards that never existed naturally. Camera angles exaggerate features. Makeup hides reality. Lighting creates artificial perfection. Surgeries and enhancement change proportions. Performance drugs change behavior and stamina. Editing removes awkwardness and pauses. What you see is not a human being. What you see is a product. But your brain does not see it as a product. Your brain sees it as expectation. Slowly, without conscious awareness, your mind starts expecting real people to look, behave, and respond like porn performers. And when reality does not match that expectation, dissatisfaction appears. This is where the real damage begins. You might meet a good person, a caring person, a loving person, someone who genuinely wants to connect with you. But inside your mind, a silent comparison starts happening. Not always consciously, but in a very subtle manner. Something feels missing. Something feels less, and something feels incomplete. But the problem is not the person. The problem is the reference point inside your mind. Porn does not raise standards. Porn destroys satisfaction. Satisfaction comes from presence, connection, and emotional safety. Porn replaces all of that with visual novelty. When novelty becomes the main source of pleasure, long-term bonding starts feeling boring. This is why porn-conditioned minds struggle with long-term relationships, not because they don't want love, but because their nervous system is trained for constant stimulation. Another dangerous effect of porn is novelty addiction. In real life, attraction deepens with time, connection grows slowly, intimacy becomes richer through shared experiences. But porn teaches the opposite lesson. It teaches that excitement comes from new faces, new bodies, and new scenes. The brain starts associating attraction with novelty, not depth. So even when you're with the right person, your mind keeps looking for something better. Not because something better exists, but because novelty itself became the addiction. This creates a permanent restlessness. Now let us talk about comparison. Porn trains comparison at two levels. The first level is comparison with your partner. Real people have real bodies, real skin, real imperfections, real moods, real emotions. Porn performers are designed to look perfect on screen. Comparing a real human being to a manufactured visual product is unfair, but the mind does it automatically once conditioned. The second level is comparison of intimacy itself. Porn scenes are scripted. They are rehearsed. They are edited. They are performed for the camera, not for connection. Real intimacy is messy. It has pauses, it has laughter, it has emotional shifts. When you compare real intimacy with porn scenes, real intimacy starts feeling less exciting. This comparison slowly kills presence. Instead of experiencing moments, the mind starts evaluating moments, and evaluated moments can never be fully enjoyed. Comparison is the death of intimacy. Another subtle damage porn does is emotional detachment. Porn separates sex from emotion. It trains the mind to seek physical stimulation without emotional involvement. Over time, emotional closeness starts feeling unnecessary or even uncomfortable. This is why some people feel emotionally distant even when physically close. The body is present, but the heart is not fully involved. Porn trains the nervous system to disconnect emotion from intimacy. Now let us talk about expectations in a broader sense. Porn also rewires what you expect from life itself. It trains instant gratification, click pleasure, swipe pleasure, no waiting, no effort, no patience. Over time, patience reduces, tolerance for slow processes reduce. Even now, many people get addicted to clickbaits and highly edited videos, but they don't have the patience to watch a full educational video slowly. But if you reached this far, you're someone with a resilient mindset. Real relationships are slow. Trust builds slowly. Understandings deepen slowly. And love matures real slowly. Porn conditioned minds struggle with this slowness. This creates frustration. People start feeling that relationships are too much work, not because they are, but because the mind is used to shortcuts. Another important thing is emotional regulation. Porn becomes an emotional coping mechanism. Stress, loneliness, boredom, anxiety. Porn becomes the escape for all of these. Over time, the brain learns to associate emotional discomfort with sexual stimulation. This weakens emotional resilience. Instead of sitting with emotions and understanding them, the mind escapes. This makes emotions feel overwhelming in the long run. Now, here is something very important to understand. Most people think their dissatisfaction comes from the outside world. They think they haven't found the right person yet. They think their partner is not enough. They think something external is missing. But very often, the dissatisfaction is coming from inside, from a reference point that is unrealistic and artificial. Porn does not just affect what you desire, it affects how you desire. It trains the mind to want intensity over intimacy, novelty over depth, stimulation over connection, and this creates a gap between reality and expectation. That gap is where suffering lives. You may not even consciously realize why you feel dissatisfied. You may feel guilty for feeling dissatisfied, but the conditioning is doing its work silently. Now here is an important relief moment. This does not mean something is wrong with you. It means your brain adapted to repeated exposure. And anything that is learned can be unlearned. The first step is awareness. The second step is patience. The nervous system needs time to recalibrate. Expectations need time to return to reality. Attraction needs time to normalize. When the brain slowly comes back to natural stimulation, real connection starts feeling meaningful again. Real people start feeling attractive again, and real intimacy starts feeling fulfilling again. This is why simply finding the right person does not solve the problem if the conditioning is not addressed. The inner reference must change first. In the next video, we are going to talk about something even deeper. We will talk about comparison and how porn destroys your ability to fully enjoy moments with your loved ones, not just sexually, but emotionally and mentally as well. We will talk about why presence disappears, why gratitude fades, and why people feel lonely even in relationships. That is where the damage becomes very personal. For now, just observe your expectations. Observe where they came from. Observe what your mind compares reality with. This observation itself starts breaking the illusion. Understanding brings softness. Softness brings clarity, and clarity brings freedom. Continue with the next part when you are ready.